Thank you. Around the world, it is buzzing as it is World Bee Day 2018. And particularly here in Nigeria, bees have been buzzing and means no more than pollination to many. Bees today, experts say, means big money. And you're welcome to buzz anytime to rain, naira, dollars, euros, or any foreign currency as it were. Nigeria seeks alternatives to oil, and bees, it appears, according to experts, can deliver happy trade through apiculture or beekeeping. Offers a more lucrative alternative since oil per barrel sells at between $54 and $80. Natural honey, produce of apiculture, by comparison, sells at $2,000. Now, Nigeria can key into this potential to catch her share of the whopping United States dollars 213 billion global market. The global market is looking to Africa for more production, since their sources introduced the inorganic and unwholesome additives to bridge the demand and supply gap. Therefore, this is the time to boost local honey production and tap into its commercial viability. Experts again are saying it is on this premise that Bridges caught up with experts who tells us that honey production always radically turns around the fortunes of the host countries, with examples of Turkey and a fellow African country, Ethiopia, who are now major players in the apiculture and trade. The reason? They captured shares of the ever-increasing world market. Honey is everywhere in this country, and yet its commercial viability is unexploited. How much more translate it into hard currency? Now, welcome to Bridges. We are going the honey way, making honey viable for commercial purposes and other usages that you'll get to know on Bridges today. So as we try to build a bridge of sustainable society, I'm welcoming you that you must stay tuned and watch this program. I'm truly yours, Mujima Kojola, and to discuss with me today, I have honey experts. Now, from my immediate right is the Director in the Department of Veterinary and Pest Control Services from the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, Dr. Doshima Kwange. You're welcome on Bridges.
Thank you.
And I have here my brother from Uganda, who is also the Chief Executive Officer, ApiTrade Africa, and is here with us, Bosco Okelo Idowu. You're welcome.
Thank you.
And here, vibrant Nigerians, men and women who have seen the potentials, and some of them are actually in production. Ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome on Bridges. Okay, now let's go straight to our lead discussants, and I'll start with you, Doshima. Now, people speak to honey and it's like, okay, honey indeed can make that much money as we registered at the introduction. What is the potential for Nigeria, and where are we now?
The potential for Nigeria is huge in several senses. For example, Nigeria has a huge vegetation, different kinds of vegetations that, beekeeping can be practiced. Also in the sense that we have a huge population, that's a big market. Then the next thing is most of our farmers are, most of our people are crop farmers. So if they go into bee production, it's an added value to their crop yields. Also, going into beekeeping is not as cost intensive as other livestock ventures. So you don't need too much. The woman in the village, the youth that is unemployed can be gainfully employed keeping bees. And for it to be commercial, if you have up to maybe 10, 20 hives, you are in business. And the beauty about this is that you can do other things and also do beekeeping. So you don't, if you are working, you don't need to, stop working. Then, we talk about honey. There are several other beehive products that we don't even talk about.
We'll come to that later. Yes, Bosco, well, you've seen it, bee trade rising in Africa, as it were. Now, give us an insight into how the viability of keeping a beehive.
Well, thank you. I think it is important for us to go a bit into history to understand where we are coming from as a continent or as a people in terms of beekeeping. It is common knowledge that traditionally we have been doing beekeeping. We grew up, we saw our parents or grandparents put a few pots, hive, local hives around, and we really enjoyed the honey. But no one really took it serious as a business. About 20 years ago, if you went to any forum and you are from Africa and you talk about honey, everybody would think that you are crazy, because the perception then was that everything from Africa was dirty. And therefore, we rose up and we said, look, that is not true. And therefore, we started the initiative to promote or let's say whitewash that negativity and begin to promote the good things which are beginning to happen on the African continent. And we came up with this whole idea of Happy Expo, which is basically a platform to show the world the beauty of the honey industry in Africa. And so we go country to country trying to preach the good news. And this year, 2018, we are here to help our brothers and sisters in Nigeria to set the agenda, the right agenda for the honey industry, and to see that not only are we talking subsistence, not only are we talking about the traditional methods of beekeeping, but we are talking commercial, we're talking about money, we are talking about dollars, which you alluded to at the beginning. So this is the message that we are bringing forward, and this time it is for Nigeria to take it.
Yeah, Nigeria to take it. Are we ready to take it? Yeah. Okay. So I'll come straight to the audience, and I know that we have members of the organized private sector here who also are in it already. And let's get the thinking of government. Is government with us on? I mean, with Nigeria in this? It's the Federal Ministry of Agriculture. I know that Dr. Kwange is. Well, the director in that department. But how ready is Nigeria to delve into this huge potential that is waiting for us? Any of you can start.
Well, my name is Oluwaseun Johnson. I'm a beekeeper, and I'm also an entomologist. I am more intrigued about pollination because I see the potential for pollination in Nigeria quite huge. We know of the popular saying of one person who said in a long time ago that if there are no bees, human beings don't exist in about 5 years' time, which means that 80% of what we eat is directly and indirectly responsible for by the pollination of the bees. The essence of this is such that the economic value of pollination is very huge. Unfortunately, in Nigeria, the use and abuse of insecticides have caused bees to be on the decline. And hence, of course, honey production also on the decline, quality compromised, and then crop yield per plot, from my own experience on the field, shows that it's, as compared with other countries, is on the diminishing side. So I am of the opinion that the welcoming of AP Expo would open up the pollination potential, hence increasing per plot yield of the average farmer in Nigeria. So aside the honey, there are other enormous benefits, particularly in pollination.
Yes.
My name is Obenu Jokbo. I'm of the private sector. We are very excited about what the federal government is doing, especially Federal Ministry of Agriculture. They have been building the capacity of a lot of the beekeepers, getting us ready for Happy Expo. Some of us have been in the business for some time.
How long have you been in the business?
We have been in the business since 2003. That's when we started. We were doing processing and packaging, but because of the way people treated honey, we started having issues with the quality of it. So we now ventured into beekeeping. So we are now doing beekeeping processing and packaging. But it's an industry that can have compartments. We don't have to do it all. Some people can farm the honey. Some of us will do the processing and packaging. So, but federal government, Federal Ministry of Agriculture is really running with it. And we've been blessed to have capable hands that have been driving the process. Also, Nigeria Export Promotion Council. They actually took some of us to Istanbul last year for the World Apimon there, where our products were showcased. And it gave us an opportunity to meet counterparts that we've signed the MOUs and we're going into businesses with. So, and federal government continues to nurture that. And with NEPC trying to list Nigeria in the to get the third country listing, where we, the exporters, will be able to export legally to the EU. You know what that means? That is a lot of money.
Yeah, that's quality.
Yeah, and it has to be quality products. So you see that the market is huge, but we as very few people doing it. So we are talking to our fellow Nigerians, especially women, to join us in this new emerging economy. It is emerging. It is not even, they've not put bet to it yet. We are so very few, 5% market share in Nigeria. We don't even have any market share in international. So can you imagine what will happen after RP Expo? The sky is our starting point.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm Dr. Sunday Onjeu from the Raw Material Research and Development Council.
Fantastic.
For us in the council, we see beekeeping as a veritable raw material for the pharmaceutical and cosmetic industry. Pharmaceutical because for every cough syrup, you need honey. Honey itself is medicinal. And so by the time the pharmacies add a little bit of chemical, whatever it is, it's a very good product. Traditionally, people use honey, even when they have coughs and all that. And beside that, cosmetics, creams, pomades, honey is a very good raw material in that area. Now, the entomologists talk about pollination. I want to say that for us in raw material, when you talk about agricultural raw materials, Dr. Kwange has talked about the vast vegetations of the beginning from Port Harcourt to Sokoto, Maiduguri to Lagos. We have huge vegetations, plantations, and that is rent itself useful for beekeeping because the pollen that the bees, when they forage, they collect the pollen from these trees with which they produce the honey. These pollens are found gotten from trees, and so in the process of collecting this pollen, they pollinate the flowers. And what the result effect is that you have increased yields of agro raw materials.
Thank you. My name is Dr. Chinyere Akujobi from the Department of Veterinary and Pest Control Services of the Federal Ministry of Agriculture. I'd like to speak on the issue of food safety, quality. We're all aware of what is happening to our beans. I mean, the rejection from the EU. The Federal Ministry of Agriculture is working presently to ensure that our honey producers do not suffer the same problem, you know. So presently, in conjunction with Nigeria Export Promotion Council, we're working on the EU third country listing, developing the National Residue Monitoring Plan. That will ensure that our beekeepers, processors, produce to standards, not just to look national standards, but to international standards, such that we do not encounter rejection when we get started. And not only for the international market, we also deserve quality. Yes, exactly. So we're working in that direction to support the industry.
My name is Ngozi Ibe. I work for Nigerian Export Promotion Council, and for the council, our interest is on trade-related issues. We need to bridge the gap, as in what we're doing at the moment. We're trying to build capacity of the local beekeepers, processors, and exporters, so that when they get out there, especially to the EU markets, they won't have issues. Interestingly, EU standards are usually bothered about food safety. They are so interested in what happens to the consumers, and I believe it also will impact on the local market as well. So this collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Agric is expected, to help our local people get to the international markets. Thank you.
My name is Mrs. Uche Obierika, a private sector in beekeeping. I heard about beekeeping, and it's a kind of I got caught with the bug and I'm running with it, especially the medicinal part of it. If you have arthritis and you have you have a live bee to sting you for several, weeks, you get cured without taking any medicine.
Okay.
So and that was one of the things that intrigues me about beekeeping. Apart from the honey, which is good and equally good medicinally, I just want to encourage Nigerians that bee sting is not harmful, but it's medicinal.
I'd just like to get back to some of the, some of the fears of people wanting to engage in beekeeping. It's like, okay, how do I keep bees and keep people safe? Because of course, if the bee stings, too many bees stings, that is also injurious to the health. So any of you can speak to that. Keep it, ensuring safety at the beehive.
Yeah, I think that is a very fundamental issue, which we as the practitioners or the experts, you like to call us experts, would want to support the community to understand. One of our colleagues already said that bee stings are actually good for our health. If they don't exceed 20, you are very, very safe. The reason is that that thing that makes you feel the pain is actually a product. It's called bee venom. And when the bee injects it into you, it improves your body immunity. Your blood moves faster and better, and therefore it is medicine. So if you can get up to 20, it's not bad.
Okay.
Now, the disclaimer is this, that if you're a practitioner, if you're a beginner, we try to encourage you to be protected. You have the protective kits, which you use, and we call them bee suits, from head to toe, just to ensure that you are safe. You can go and visit your apiary, you can go and do harvesting, you can go and inspect, you can go and put new hives, and you'll never be stung, even by a single bee. If you are stung, up to 20, as I said, you are safe.
Okay. If it's more than 20, assuming.
You seek expert opinion.
Yes. So, okay. So in trying to build this bridge, you should also be cautious and ensuring that you have a beehive that you can visit all the time. Yes, I'd like to come to Doshi. Now, we're looking at the perspective of having more and more people, particularly women, to keep a beehive because of the potentials therein. How can you sell your products?
Oh, selling the products is, the market is, we're just at the tip of the iceberg. The market is huge, and I don't see any glut in sight. What we've been trying to do is to encourage people through trainings and through awareness creation to go into beekeeping. Now, that is not we are collaborating with the Export Promotion Council, with the Ministry of Trade, and we have the processors in the private sector. There's a body called the Nigeria Apiculture Platform that are also getting the beekeepers together. So the market is there. There are off-takers, people that will take off from these people. As it is, some of the players in the private sector, they have orders they cannot even fill. For example, people that want to sell beeswax, they're looking for beeswax and they can't have enough. So the market is there. It's just for us to, and it's one of the things we are hoping that our AP Expo will do, to have an organized market system, maybe collection points, or where people know that they can bring their products and people will buy. Also, we're encouraging the processors to have a backward integration where, like in the Anchor Borers program, you have people that you've trained at various places and you take off from them. So they know that when they produce, they don't have to wait for a market. The market is already there.
Are you experiencing this, any member of the audience? Is it something, particularly those of you who are producing honey, does it sell like Dr. Doshima has said? Okay, so let's share your experience before we round up.
Yes, ma'am. I think it does sell. I have visited a couple of places in Lagos, for instance, where I did not even know that Nigerians are adding value to not just honey, but beeswax. And I found someone who is producing luxury candles that was exhibited outside of Nigeria, and everybody was wondering that really can, in religious terms, can anything good come from? So quite intriguing. I think, for instance, industrial consumers, one of our soft drinks in Nigeria contains honey, and I'm very sure that the manufacturer of that soft drink imports the honey he uses. Why can't we as Nigerians? But his fear is the quality. AP Expo brings us to that person, and once he knows that, yes, I can get good quality, I mean, for forex reasons, it's cheaper for him to consume from Nigeria.
Now, we're talking of, uptake in terms of more and more Nigerians coming up to keep bees or have beehives, and ensuring that the global market that is huge, Nigeria can tap into it. But we're looking that most of the times, the producers that we have these days reside at the local level. How are we getting to them?
Of course, beekeeping is a rural enterprise. Rural enterprise in the sense that the plantations, the farms are in the rural area, and there are laws. You don't actually site your hives within the residential areas, because bees can, in their process of foraging for pollen, as I said earlier, they can go as far as 5 kilometers, 3 kilometers, and in the process, particularly they also don't want noise. And so if they're in the residential area, people can distract them, and then people can get a sting or stung. But then the rural area is the best place for bee. What we do is that all the agencies that are involved, we always advocate training. For us in raw materials, as far back as 2002, we've been engaging in We Rock International. It's a United-based NGO sponsored by the United USAID, and we have run more than 5 trainings across the different political zones of the country. 2, best practices is a start from the farm. And so the essence of training the farmers is to ensure that as they set up their hives, some people use cow dungs to bait. Baiting means to attract the bees into the hives. Some people use cow dung, some people will discourage such material, because ab initio, once you use things like that, you have already adulterated your product. And so people are encouraged to use wax itself, which is a product of the beehives. So you, with your wax, you are, and then there is what they call wax comb. When you a wax foundation, once you use such things, the issue of adulteration. So we discover also that along the road, some people say sugar syrup and say it is honey. And when somebody is unfortunate to buy such product, the next thing say Nigerian honey is bad. And so training and retraining, capacity building continues. The need for lab, that is texting now. NHPs talk about export. EU will not buy product that is not wholesome, that is not good for consumption. So the government is also looking at lab.
You want to say something before we round up?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. In terms of the event, which is coming up in September, I think it is important for us to realize that that we are calling this AP Expo Africa. It is a Pan-African initiative to ensure that, one, not only are we looking at Africa as a production base, but also Africa as a market. We have a huge market of 1 billion persons, 1 billion people. This is a huge market. And therefore, whatever is produced within Africa also has a market within Africa. And that is a very important thing that we want to emphasize. The other aspect which I want the audience to appreciate is the fact that we are growing as a continent. About 10 years ago, our contribution in terms of production to the global volume was about 1%. Now we are at 12%, 1-2%. This is growth, and it is because of initiatives like this that the local people, the rural people we are talking about, but also people who have money, are investing into hundreds and thousands of beehives. And with the knowledge, the best practices that my colleagues were talking about, there is huge production coming up. And so this event is bringing 5,000 persons to this country. That is a huge number in terms of us being able to pass across the positive message but also being able to learn from each other. We have big companies which are coming here from Europe, from China, from everywhere, and they are looking for raw materials, and they are looking for beeswax, they are looking for bee venom, but also they are bringing us equipment. They are going to show us the equipment, not just for the sake of showing us, but we are going to encourage our communities to buy. So there is a lot that we stand to benefit as a country, but also as a continent come September.
Right. Well, that says it all, that indeed Africa is buzzing with potentials and Nigeria is buzzing along as big brother to ensure that we open up more areas of trade and safe consumption as we look into bee-hive keeping or beekeeping, and eventually the entomologists will talk about the pollination that it brings and increased yield, and of course the beekeepers themselves, we talk to the huge potentials of using everything. In fact, I was told that nothing is useless. The value chain is rich, and so you can tap into it today. We have attempted to build a bridge. We hope that the bridge will be one that will stimulate you to start being a honey producer or any of the value chain listed with keeping a beehive. Thanks for watching. Bridges will be back same time next week, same station. Stay tuned and God bless you.